Good morning, everyone. How are you? Today is day 30. I don't know if you've been following me, but for the last 30 days, I've been doing a Facebook Live every day at 7 a.m. Some days I'm a little late, like today, but that is because I had an awesome dream last night, or maybe it was a night vision, or I just call it an experience. Anything with the Lord. I don't really look at it as like, hey, I know an impression is maybe a kind of a lower level way of communicating or hearing into the spirit realm versus maybe a trance, of course. But I had an experience last night while I was sleeping. What it was it a dream? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm very excited. And so good morning. Good morning to my husband who's in Fort Mill. I'm in Cleveland. Babe, I didn't get to roll over and tell you about my experience this morning because you weren't there. So you're going to have to find out about it on Facebook Live. So anyway, I went to sleep normal time yesterday, and right around the time we typically go to bed. So, a couple days ago, I talked about how to prepare yourself and posture yourself for dreams or encounters with God. So you can go back and watch that. If you need any dreams interpreted, you can also join my dream interpretation group. It's very vibrant. There's lots of dreams in there. If you want to practice interpreting dreams, there are plenty. If you have a dream, we'd love to interpret it for you. Also, why don't you tell me where you're watching from? I've been doing this now 30 days, every day for 30 days. I'm just curious where this goes, whether you're watching the replay or you're watching it right now. You can go ahead and just type away and tell me where you're at. So anyways, last night while I was sleeping, I had an experience where, and I'm just going to read it to you. I've already written it down. I've already been in the scriptures this morning. And it kind of, I don't know if it's, let me tell you the dream. So I was singing a worship song, and in the experience, I was like, what am I singing? And then I realized right away, it doesn't really matter because my heart is in the right place. So I kept on singing, and I noticed that I was in some sort of whirlwind that kept getting stronger and stronger, and it was rumbling so bad that I couldn't tell if I was shaking or whirling. So at one point I would be like, oh, am I whirling? And then it would get stronger, and then I'd be, oh my gosh, it's kind of like my focus would change, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, there's like a massive rumbling. So much so, like, am I shaking or spinning? I couldn't tell. And then at times it was really bright, and I was like, what is this? And then I would forget that, am I whirling or is it shaking? Because now it's bright. So it was like a lot of different things going on that I was full body experience, not just I'm seeing it or sensing it in a peaceful place. Like my entire body is experiencing shaking, lightning, whirling. And so at one point I looked up and I saw a fuzzy rainbow, which really made my heart happy. Because whenever I see rainbows, I see vibrant colors, I think, oh my gosh, it's the Lord, because he's full of vibrancy. And then as I was staring at the rainbow, it kind of like turned into a circular emerald, and again, it was fuzzy. And then all of a sudden I would be shaken, and am I in the whirlwind? And what is going on? And then I'd look up and I'd see the rainbow, and then it would turn into like a fuzzy circle, and I would think, is that water? Am I in water? Like, it looks so fuzzy, and it would move in the shaking, and then I'd think, am I underwater? Humanistically, we can't breathe underwater, but it doesn't matter in the spirit. So I realized while I was in the dream that this is all descriptions of the throne. I realized that, am I having a revelation 4? Am I, like John, coming up here? Is God taking me up into a throne room experience? And am I in the sea of glass? So I started having all these questions while I was in the dream. At the same time, I was singing. And then eventually I realized that I stopped singing, and that I was just back to sleep. but I was asleep while all this was happening. So I just want to read Revelation 4:6 because that's immediately where I went to this morning. It has a lot of what I described, but Revelations 4:1-6 says, "After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice, which I had heard like the sound of a trumpet speaking with me, said, 'Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after these things.' And he who was sitting like a jasper stone and a sardius in appearance, and there was a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald in appearance. Around the throne were 24 thrones, and upon the thrones I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white garments and golden crowns on their head. Out from the throne came flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder. There were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne there was something like a sea of glass, like crystal. And in the center and around the throne, 4 living creatures full of eyes in front and behind." Oh my gosh, I got so excited. I didn't even realize all that would be together in one spot. And then I started thinking, I was in like a whirlwind. Where's a whirlwind in a Bible? And I found Job 38:1. It says, "Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind." And again in 40, "Then answered the Lord out unto Job out of the whirlwind." We know that in 2 Kings 2, it talks about Elijah and Elisha. When Elijah went up, he was caught up in a whirlwind. The time had come for the Lord to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind. So for me, I think, so close. Like, how come I didn't get there? Why? Because for me, I feel like, in kind of thinking about the dream, that I was going up, but I didn't fully go into the throne room. I was on my way there. I was experiencing some aspect of it. And I think the key too was that I was singing a worship song, and in that, though, it didn't really, and I kept thinking, what song am I singing? I didn't even know the song I was singing. We know that there are angels singing 24/7 before the throne. So perhaps I was singing the song. I mean, we know what they're saying, but, then maybe there's other worship going on there. But in the experience, I remember thinking, well, it doesn't matter. My heart's in the right position. So I think that's really key. If you think about, I want to, a lot of times in prophetic culture, we say, I want to have a throne room experience. I want to go to heaven. I want to experience God. And, this isn't a definite, but for me and in this experience, it was posturing your heart in the right place. So I think for me, as I move forward, I am going to posture my heart in the right place as a form of worship before the Lord, because that is what will bring me before him. So, and I also, Victoria, I love what you're saying. Sounds like the Lord's taking you higher. Yes, I love it. And so I also want to, so this is my experience this morning. A lot of times when I have dreams, I have dreams pretty much every day. There's some days that I don't remember, and then some days where I'm really, I do have something I'm kind of meditating on and thinking about it. I don't necessarily wake up and go, let's talk about it. 2 people on Facebook Live or outside of like talking to my husband or maybe a good friend about it to just kind of figure out what it means. But, today I just felt like I immediately knew what it meant. I woke up, it's written down, I studied it a little bit, and just wanted to share it with you. The other thing too, a lot of times I start to go, why did I have this? What did I do yesterday? Can I repeat all of that? And as I mentioned, I think it's really just a position of the heart. And yesterday I didn't do anything super spiritual. I woke up, I did my Facebook Live. I pretty much worked the entire day up until almost 5, from that point, 7 on. And, I talked to a lot of people. I spent time with my daughter, my sister. I did family stuff yesterday. I didn't really, it wasn't like I was fasting or having intercession before the Lord. I wasn't even expecting to have something like this, but I'm excited. Before I go to bed every night, I just believe that I'm about to go on an adventure in the Spirit. So, here's to having more of those. I want to have more of those. Maybe next time I fall asleep, I actually will show up in the throne room, you know? So, which brings me to another question that I think I'm going to talk about tomorrow, because even though today is my 30th day, I still have a list of stuff to talk about. And as things happen to me, I just kind of change it up. So, you know, every day I wake up and I think, what am I going to talk about? I don't really, I haven't pre-planned all this and said, this day I'm doing this and this day I'm doing this. I have a lot of thoughts of what I want to talk about. And one thing I definitely want to talk about is lucid dreaming. That's where you are aware that you're dreaming and you can control it. Because in the spirit and as Christians, depending on what kind of dream we're having, especially if it's a negative one, we want to be able to, while we're sleeping, speak into it and stop it, because we can. And I think as you continue to study dreams and you go deeper into the dream realm, you realize that's a great tool to have, and you realize that it's necessary to do that if you're being, you know, like I said, you're being attacked or you're having just a bad dream in general, you can change it. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. Unless something crazier happens, then I'll push it back, you know, and I'll share something else. So anyway, hope you guys had a great, morning. If you have anything you want to share about experiences you've had, maybe you've been to the throne room this week or recently, I would love to hear your experience. You can put it in the comments. But for now, I will see you tomorrow.